So tonight, the left's so-called resistance against President Trump in D.C. is crumbling. Every hoax, all the lawfare, weaponization, the coordinated media attacks, spying, censorship, violent riots, and the dramatic acts of defiance, everything has failed. And today, well, Mr. High Loyalty James Comey was in court today pleading not guilty to charges of making false statements and obstruction of a congressional hearing. Now, Comey is just one of many powerful, unelected government bureaucrats who seem to believe that they were above the law and could do nothing. And they wanted to save America from its duly elected president, Donald Trump. Now, we've talked about deep state operatives for a long time, a web of corruption culminating just a few months ago when they tried to throw President Trump in prison in the middle of an election. As Lindsey Graham rightly pointed out, it was always about politics, not the rule of law. He said it on the show last night. Take a look.
He announced he's going to run for president in 2022 for the 24 election. Within 8 months, 91 indictments were levied against him, coming from New York, Atlanta, Washington, D.C., and Florida. 91 felony charges against Donald Trump. Here's what I believe. If he had never announced he was going to run for president, none of this would have happened. They were trying to destroy his comeback. This was all orchestrated by Jack Smith, Alvin Bragg, Fani Willis, Letitia James to destroy this man so he could not win in 2024.
All right, here with more is Sunday Night in America host Trey Gowdy, Fox News contributor, law professor Jonathan Turley tonight. Thank you both for being here. Trey, I'll start with you.
Thank you.
You know, it's amazing between the dirty dossier used for FISA warrants, completely debunked, and then, of course, the declassification of Tulsi Gabbard. We learned that our career senior intelligence officials determined there was no Trump-Russia collusion after the election. Obama, according to Tulsi, ordered a new assessment, scary. Then the Hunter Biden laptop scandal, that was scary. Then weaponization against Trump for 4 years, that was scary. And I agree with Senator Lindsey Graham, your fellow South Carolinian. I believe he's right when he says none of this would have happened if Donald Trump wasn't running for president.
Yeah, Lindsey and I talked about that just today. If Donald Trump had said, I'm going to play golf, I've done my public service, he would not have been indicted anywhere, none of the 4 jurisdictions. I will tell you this, I would add a couple of names to that. Devin Nunes, Kash Patel, John Lee Ratcliffe, what those guys were doing. I mean, we've been doing this for a decade now, Sean. A decade ago is when this started. Now, unfortunately, the statute has run for some of what Jim Comey and McCabe and John Brennan and Clapper have done, but it hasn't run for this for the 2 counts of the indictment that Comey was in court for today.
Okay, Jonathan Turley, he has a Biden judge. Of course, he would get a Biden judge. So I don't know what the hopes are of a conviction here. But the fact that he was also involved in using misinformation, a bought and paid for Russian disinformation dossier, and presented it to the FISA court and signed 3 of the 4 FISA warrants himself, and then years later said, oh, yeah, knowing what I know now, I'd never sign it. But now we do have at least a prima facie case, do we not, that he knew?
Well, that is what this ultimately comes down to. Either he's lying or he's not. There are a couple of crushing ironies here. First, you have Comey planning to make a selective prosecution argument that, you know, this is the type of conduct that other people do and that he's been singled out by the Justice Department. This is Comey who virtually trapped the former national security advisor of Donald Trump, who admitted that he sort of broke protocol and sent 2 guys over to Michael Flynn's office to effectively sandbag him and then charged him with lying. So it's really remarkable he can make this case with a straight face. The other irony is that the trial is scheduled for January 5th. That's the anniversary of this infamous meeting where he and others briefed Obama and they laid the foundations for the Russian investigation. So it's just a series of crushing ironies in Alexandria.
Let me get both of your reactions to the spying incident against U.S. senators by Jack Smith. Trey.
I can tell you what, you just had Mike Johnson on, and you're right. It's hard to get him mad. It is not hard to get U.S. senators mad, and they are right now. Some of them are actually talking to private counsel about pursuing private causes of action. But I'm going to warn you right now, Sean and Professor Turley, I see a hearing in our future with Merrick Garland, Chris Wray, and Jack Smith in front of the Senate Judiciary Committee explaining what the factual predicate was and what crime were you investigating where you needed the metadata of U.S. senators in light of the speech and debate clause. I can't wait to hear Jack Smith tell the people he was seeking that information on what crime he was investigating. And they can't either.
Jonathan, I agree with you. Jonathan, let's get your take.
No, I agree with Trey. I'd love to see that hearing occur. People need to understand how intrusive and outrageous this is. That, various people contact senators and members of Congress, from whistleblowers to just straight witnesses, to give them information. This type of data can reveal those associations, those contacts, when they were made. It's very intrusive. It's very dangerous. And to hear some Democratic politicians and pundits shrug this off is really outrageous. But fortunately, there are some Democratic senators who have said, no, this is horrible, and we need to investigate it, and that's to their credit.
Yeah, I think we do need to hear from Merrick Garland and Director Wray, and sooner rather than later. Thank you both.